thou wilt hear, O Lord my God. For I said, hear me, lest otherwise they should rejoice over me when my foot slippeth. They magnify themselves against me. For I am ready to halt, and my sorrows is continually before me. For I will declare my iniquity, and I will be sorry for my sin. But mine enemies are lively, and they are strong, and they that hate me wrongfully are multiplied. They also that render evil for good are mine adversaries, because I follow the things that good is. Forsake me not, O Lord my God, and be not far from me. Make haste to help me, O Lord, my salvation. Oh, thank God for his word. See, so what happens is, so when I got to the dealership, let's talk about that. I got to the dealership, and when I got to the dealership, I began to explain to the people what I was experiencing. Now, I said earlier that my son had already talked to the owner of the dealership. And because my son had talked to the owner of the dealership, they already were expecting me to come there. My son said, tell him that you're on your way. And so when I got there, the young man that was the head technician, he began to, it was almost like compatible, or whatever. And so I said to him, I said, what is that liquid on the ground? What is that fuel, or what is that on the ground that is, that's on the ground coming from the rear tire? And then they drove it back into the area where they do their work. You understand? Lift those hands up and say, yes, Lord. And so immediately they said, oh, sir, we're going to replace all your disc. We're going to replace all your calibers, and we're going to replace your pads. And they said it's on them. Now, what happened was they didn't bolt down the caliber. So consequently, I had no brakes to stop. This could have been something that could have been my demise. I could have ended up over on the river. I could have ended up in an accident. Oh, shippy. I was on a motorway or freeway or an area where cars travel, and it's known to have accidents. But so the caliber wasn't done. Now God spoke to somebody on Wednesday, and they were concerned and wanted to know how the brake job went. You understand what I'm saying? And so I began to talk to them and said, well, what are you asking that? And they said, and when I told them what happened today, they reminded me why they kept pressing me to see what was going on with the automobile and the brakes. Oh, shippy. And so here we're going to talk to you a little bit about coming to a place when you can come to a place where you're in Ushaba. You can come to a place of wanting to give up and give in. Under the Osaya. One thing after another. Under the Osaya. Oh, bless his name, Ushaba. As we read the words of David in Psalms 38, we find this godly, righteous man at the end of himself. He was downcast and discouraged, and his struggle had drained him of all strength. Ushaba. Listen to his distraught cry. Ushaba. I am troubled and I'm bowed down greatly. I go mourning all day long, and I'm feeble and sore broken. I have roared by reason of disquietness of my heart. My heart panteth, and my strength faileth me. As for the light of mine eyes, it also is gone from Mel and as a deaf man, heard not, O Shabbat, and I was a dumb man, O Shabbat, that openeth not his mouth. Thus I was a man that heareth not, O Shabbat, and whose mouths are no reproof. In Psalms 38, verse 6, 8, 10, that's 13 and 14. As I read this passage or the Psalms, I imagine David was slumped in despair. Perhaps what troubled him the most was he couldn't understand why he was suddenly cast down so low. Oh, Shabbat. You can be in such a low place under the Diosaya. And people don't understand. They, Zira, you should have done this, or Zira, you should do this, and you should do that. And they all got advice and opinions under the Diosaya, but none of them have heard from God under the Diosaya. They don't really know where you're at under the Diosaya. They don't know the birthing under the Diosaya. I could have been displaced under the Diosaya from a space, O Shabbat. And then after being displaced under the Diosaya, the next thing comes, O Shabbat. I can't stop my vehicle under the Diosaya, but yet still trying under the Diosaya to move on with the things of God. Oh, bless his name under the Diosaya. And so, people don't know what's going on under the Diosaya. And so this man hungered for the Lord, pouring out his heart daily under the Diosaya. I was pouring out today daily and hungering to the Lord with my heart in prayer. And I reverence God. David reverenced God's word, Shabbat, writing Psalms and extolled his glory under the Diosaya. But now in his distressed state, all he could do was cry, O Shabbat, Lord, I'm at the end of my rope, O Shabbat. I don't know what else to do, God, under the Diosai, and I have no idea why it's happening. I don't know why all this is going on now under the Diosai. I don't know why I don't have anybody I can talk to about this, O Shabbat. The last thing that is going on is the worst thing you can do is get people you're going through and they got a whole bunch of questions, O Shabbat. They ain't no intercessors under the Diosai. There's no prophets under the Diosai. There's no scripture under the Diosai. They just got a dumb question under the Diosai. I'm going to call it what it is under the Diosai. They don't know what to say, oh Shabbat. They ain't had nothing to say they're not made to say anything. And so these are the people that you just got to break off with, oh Shabbat. Oh, bless his holy name under the Diosai. And so, like many discouraged believers, O Shabbat, today David tried to figure out why he felt so empty, O Shabbat, and broken in spirit, O the Josiah. He probably relived every failure under the Diosai. What did I do under the Diosai last year, last month? Why has this come upon me, O Shabbat? Sin and foolish deeds in his life or in my life. At some point, he must have thought, oh God, oh Shabbat, Yova, have all of my reckless acts left me so wounded that I am become or beyond hope, oh Shabbat? Is there any way for me to be yet delivered under the Diosaya? See, when you're going through under the Diosaya and you got these people around you that don't know you and you know they don't know God under the Diosaya, and so you don't got nobody speaking faith to you under the Diosaya. They're speaking mixed signals under the Diosaya. They operate like the soothsayer. The first thing that comes out of their mouth is the truth, but they twist it with a lie. And finally, David resounded that God must have been chastening me. God, you must be punishing me. He cried, O Lord, rebuke me not in thy wrath, neither chasten me in thy hot displeasure. For thine arrow stick fast in me, and thy hand perceiveth me sore. There is no soundness in my flesh because of thine anger, neither is there any rest in my bones because of my sin. For my iniquities are gone over my head. As an heavy burden, there are too heavy for me. Under the Josiah, verses 1-4. Let me try to paint a picture, or let me try to give an illustration, or let me make this. Let's just make a point here, that David isn't just writing about his own condition in the Psalms. He's describing something that all devoted lovers of Yeshua face at some point in their lifetime. He's talking about being under a demonic attack from a plaguing spirit of discouragement. Under the Josiah. Oh, am I talking to some believers out there? Under the Josiah. Some lovers of Yeshua. Under the Josiah. Those under the Josiah that lift their hands, oh Shabbat, when they ain't got no groceries. I'm talking to somebody that worships God under the Josiah when you ain't got no house. Under the Josiah. I'm talking to you under the Josiah that yet give God praise under the Josiah. At the time under the Josiah, when you're under the most heat, oh Shabbat. I'm talking about somebody under the Josiah that's not giving up on God under the Josiah when it comes one thing after another, oh Shabbat. I'm talking to somebody that's not charging God under the Josiah, foolishly under the Josiah. I'm not blaming on God under the Josiah about the breaks, but I just need to find some strength, oh Shabbat, to get on the other side of the bridge under the Josiah. I need some strength. I need a word under the Josiah that can take me over, oh Shabbat. Now I gave that to my son. My son said, you gotta keep going under the Josiah. I heard under the Josiah, what good is it for you to stop here? So he said, oh Shabbat. And so when he said it, I grabbed a hold of faith under the Josiah. See, even though he was a young man, he had enough faith, enough confidence that Dad, you'll get there. I'm under the Josiah. You gotta keep going. Just move a little slow. Oh Shabbat. Move a little slow under the Josiah. And you'll get there under the Josiah. This kind of discouraging spirit comes straight from the bowels of hell, oh Shabbat. And the time comes when every dedicated believer is overwhelmed by the sudden and unexpected experience. No believer or no Christian brings it on himself, nor does the Lord send it. Such an attack usually has nothing to do with any specific sin or failing by the believer. Under the Josiah, lift those hands up and say, yes, Lord. Say, I hear you, God. Under the Josiah. Very simply, the spirit of discouragement is Satan's most potent weapon against God's elect. Oh, Shabbat. Most often, he uses it to try to convince us we've brought God's wrath upon ourselves by not measuring up to his holy standards. But the Apostle Paul urges us not to fall prey to the devil's snares, lest Satan should what? Get an advantage of us. For we are not ignorant to what? Of his devices. 2 Corinthians 2:11. Paul saying you have to see your discouragement for what it really is. It's a demonic weapon, an arrow that Satan shoots at you from the quiver to get you to doubt yourself. He knows he can't tempt you to turn away from Yeshua, so he swamps you with vicious lies to make you think you'll never be good enough to serve Yeshua or Jesus Christ. He wants you to get you down. He wants you to get you so that you feel as though that you're downcast, or that negativity, that was negative energies, that you'll want to throw in the complete towel. And that's why you have to be careful of those that you listen to and those that you share what you're going through with. I'm done now tonight. I didn't want to be that long, but I wanted you to know one thing and one thing only. God said, don't listen to what you heard, see, or feel. Now, I hope under the Osiah, you, the lying wonder, and the crafty man and woman are listening. Under the Osiah, I serve notice on you today. Touch not my anointed. Do my prophets no harm, saith the Lord. Oh, Shabbat. Every word that you say is going to come back to you. Under the